Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. We are, as we're going through Deuteronomy, we're in the first chapter right now. We'll be in this first chapter a little while here. I want to read verses 6 through 8 today, and it's entitled, "You have stayed at this mountain long enough." And you're going to see God says that to Moses for the people to get moving. You know, they've been at this mountain long enough. We've already talked about it was supposed to, it only takes 11 days to get to where they were going, but it took them over 40 years to get to that destination because God never intended for them to take 11 days, maybe a year or so, but and that was to get the Egypt out of the Israel, get Egypt out of Israel, but then also the stay there was extended because of the disobedience, and God had to discipline them and allow that whole generation to die. Okay, and we talked about that plenty in Numbers, how that whole generation died, and there would have been death all around you at that time period. So let me read here today. This is taken from Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. It says this: "The Lord our God said to us at Horeb, 'You have stayed long enough at this mountain. Break camp and advance into the hill country of the Amorites. Go to all the neighboring peoples in Arab, in the mountains, in the western foothills, in the Negev, and along the coast, to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, as far as the great river of the Euphrates. See, I have given you this land. Go in and take possession of the land the Lord swore he would give to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to their descendants after them.'" Okay? So God has said, you've stayed at the mountain long enough. It's time to go break camp, and I have given you this land. Okay? That's a key thing you're going to find out later as we're talking about this story. The children of Israel lacked the faith in that God had given them the land and was going to take care of them. But we'll get into that further. But today I wanted to focus on that phrase, "You've stayed at this mountain long enough." There's two pictures here, really, that I want to bring out in this whole thing. Is the first one, and I'm going to go with the first one here. Egypt, not Egypt. Egypt, it represents the world. But the mountain they were talking about, Mount Sinai or Horeb here, is where the law was given. And so that mountain represents the law being given. Okay? What we have today is some people are still stuck in the law, and here God has said, okay, I gave you the law, now it's time for you to move on and take the promised land, okay? And there was life beyond the promised land. There was Jesus coming later, and which would have been redemption and grace and freedom, with Jesus coming. But some people were stuck on that mountain, and they didn't want to leave that mountain. They were stuck in the law. And so I want us to think today, hopefully we're not a people like that are stuck on the law. We got to, obey the law, do this law, and you become a slave to the law, okay? But when Jesus came, he set us free from the law. We're still supposed to try and obey the law, but when we fail the law is there to point out our failings, all right? And so that's the reason the law is given. And it's also given to show us that we need Jesus, okay? Because I'm going to break the law, and I need Jesus to break me free from that, and he forgives that sin, okay? So we need to move on from the law. The law is still there, but we need to move on. It's time to move on with that. The other thing here is this, that some people today, they're stuck on the mountain, you might say, and they're not wanting to go into the promised land. And sometimes Christians are like that today. They're like, I'm, stay here in my holy land of this little town that I'm in, and not go out and share the gospel into other parts of the world. They're like, I'm going to stay here on this mountain. Let's say I'm in this Christian section of Sarasota. I'm going to stay right here and just fellowship with all the other believers and so forth. Well, the Great Commission clearly says, you need to go out into all the world. You start in Jerusalem and share the gospel, but you need to go out from there. And so that's what we need to be doing. We need to be going out into the world and sharing that gospel. Okay, so those are two pictures of what's taking place here. Hopefully that makes sense with that. The first one, not being stuck in the law, okay, and the second one is not going out and sharing Jesus. Here, God had clearly said, you've been at this mountain long enough, it's time for you to move on. So may that be my prayer for you today, that you would not be stuck on the mountain, but you would move on. Hey, thanks for watching. I am a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Deuteronomy. Lord's blessing. I'll see you tomorrow.